Hello everyone, my name is Miaomiao and today I will introduce my assignment 2. The topic is that why Augustine's twins differ. And in my presentation, I will analyze Augustine's argument about twins from his book, The Study of God. I will use the principles of classical astrology learned in the lecture and combine my personal observations to critically analyze his views. Augustine proposed the twin paradox in his book. In his opinion, the twins were separated by the smallest interval of time, yet experienced such diversity in their fates. This view refutes what he believes is an astrological argument, which proves that astrology is ineffective. In my opinion, his paradox is actually based on a misunderstanding of astrology, specifically genesiology. I will explain how a small gap between twins can still lead to different fates by focusing on two key concepts, the zodiac and the ascendant. He believes that, according to astrology, if the time of birth was accurate, the fate of the twins should be almost the same. However, this is not what we observe. Therefore, he concluded that astrology must be wrong. And the most important thing is that, in the context of the time at that time, the fatalism of astrology strongly conflicted with the Christian view. As a representative figure of Christianity, Augustine not only expressed his views, but also defended the core belief of Christianity, that is, humans are guided by divine providence, and secondly, humans have free will. This is a reasonable thought for someone without a deep understanding of astrology, but it overlooks the key principles revealed by the genesiology. According to the introduction in the lecture, genesiology is the most popular branch of personal fate. The most important tool is the birth chart. By observing the area of each planet in the zodiac, it is divided into 12 places, and the places change according to the place and time of birth, which is the key to determining personal destiny. The time mentioned here is the most important point, which is also what Augustine ignored in his views. There is already a gap between twins' birth time, but in the classical area of astrology, it may be longer, and their birth chart may have different placements. Augustine focused on the differences in the lives of twins, and all the traits he mentioned are included in the birth chart. For example, the first place represents humans' general life, the second place represents wealth, the eighth place represents death, and the 10th place represents actions and honors. Combined with lecture notes, for example, Mars is a typical malefic planet representing violence, which has a negative impact on people's fate. If Mars happened to fall on his first place when the twin brother was born, then his lifetime may be violent and full of conflict. But when the younger brother was born, Mars fell out of the first place, so the younger brother's life may be routine than the elder one. On this basis, the huge differences observed by Augustine did not refute the logic of astrology, but further proves that the system can accurately predict the results. So why does the small time interval make such a difference in fate? It is the base point that determines the birth chart. Ascendant. Ascendant is the starting point of the first place. After this point is determined, all of the place positions are also determined. This point is preciously located at the eastern horizon at the place and the time of birth projects onto the ecliptic. Because of the rotation of the Earth, this point is changing every minute, even every second. The smallest time interval in Augustine's assumption cannot be ignored. Here, but will lead to a completely different fate because of different ascendants. His most serious mistake was to ignore the technical importance of time. His argument is also based on the second wrong assumption, that is, the time of conception is regarded as the beginning of life, but it is almost impossible to determine this moment. These two wrong perceptions make his rebuttal untenable from the perspective of astrology. After years of development, nowadays people still use astrology to solve problems in life and try to understand a person's character. This is a birth chart that I run for myself. For me, when sometimes I am confused, I will use astrological information to try to solve my problems. Although in my opinion, astrology is not completely credible because I believe in human power more, but it's still a very interesting topic, especially when encountering many difficulties. I prefer to regard astrology as a belief that can help people get out of trouble. The reason why Augustine opposed astrology was that he regarded it as a threat to free will and Christianity. With the evolution of modern astrology, people can self-reflection and get help through that useful knowledge, which is the greatest inspiration for me by astrology. In conclusion, if it is just a simple understanding of astrology, Augustine's view is not completely wrong. The biggest problem is his misunderstanding of the accuracy of time by zodiac and ascendant. But more importantly, he actually used critical astrology to define the authority of Christianity with free will. Therefore, Augustine's paradox is not only a technical misunderstanding of astrology, but also an ideological refutation of this idea. To correctly evaluate astrology, we need to understand it at a deeper level and use this tool more objectively. And that's all for my presentation on my technical arguments such as the analysis of genesiology, accident, and the places come from our lecture note. And in addition, I also selected some pictures from online resources such as Augustine's portrait and birth chart to enrich the visual content of my presentation to help explain my views. And thank you again for listening.